What are life processes? From a biological perspective in elementary science, the fundamental processes of life were enumerated under the mnemonic Mr. Niger D, where M stands for movement, R respiration, N for nutrition, I for irritability, G for growth, E for excretion, R for reproduction, and lastly D for death. All living components of the environment partake in these processes to validate their interactions in the environment, in contrast to non-living components. In this chapter, you will familiarize with the organizational hierarchy of living things classified under the levels of kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species, while tracing their evolutionary relationship. Interestingly, you will understand the dynamics of photosynthesis by which green plants manufacture their food through the conversion of light energy into chemical energy. Speaking of food, nutrition is an essential requirement for living. Little wonder the United Nations made it their topmost priority as enlisted in SDG 2. In the motto words of Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So nutrition is viewed as the safest route to healthy living. However, nutrition in the field of medicine is similarly controversial as medical schools hypothetically teach the science of nutrition. As we reflect on this ordeal, let's begin a nutrition campaign by transforming our pharmacy, which rely heavily on synthetic drugs for prevention and treatment, to pharmacy, whose emphasis is on organic, nutritious food for healthy living. After all, you are what you eat. Here are the 11 most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Let's take a look. Ask yourself this question: how will the world survive without nutritious food? Or what still, without food? While pondering on this question, we will be discussing the different modes of nutrition in plants and animals and their corresponding feeding mechanism. Contrary to humans, whose mechanism of feeding is through the mouth, other living organisms possess specialized structures to facilitate food entry into their body systems. Let's talk about enzymes. What comes to mind when you hear the word enzyme? Anxiety. Speaking with a student of mine, I realized that the subject of enzyme was usually complex, sending cold chills upon unsuspecting students. Not to worry, enzymes are biological catalysts which enhances the rate of biochemical reactions. This chapter explains in simple to understand language enzymatic action and factors influencing this action. In closing, this chapter succinctly explains cellular respiration as the production of ATP in the mitochondria by describing the 4 stages of this process in detail. By the end of this chapter, students should be able to 1. Define enzymes and understand their activity. 2. Understand the characteristic of non-living things. 3. Identify various types of living things and classify them into different kingdoms and phyla. 4. Apply the knowledge to explain types of nutrition and feeding mechanisms seen in living organisms. And lastly, 5. Explain the processes of photosynthesis and cellular respiration. I am optimistic that together we can create learning legacies of simplifying complex terminologies for learners of all ages. Let's roll.